Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping headfirst into a concept that sounds, well, less like engineering and more like science fiction.
It really does.
We're talking about a power grid that's so smart, so hardened, and so autonomous that it promises to literally never fail.
It's an audacious premise, for sure. And the system we're diving into is called GridOS.
GridOS.
Right. Our sources describe it as this next-generation, autonomous, resilient, AI-driven power network. They even call it the nervous system for the modern city.
A nervous system so it can react, self-heal, learn.
That's the idea. So our mission here is to really peer under the hood of this proprietary architecture, get past the marketing claims.
Right.
And understand exactly how it secures energy flow through AI and what they're labeling military-grade resilience.
And the fundamental shift here, it's not about just building bigger power plants, right? It's about building smarter local grids.
Exactly. GridOS doesn't manage one, central behemoth.
Yeah.
It sits at the heart of every microgrid.
So it's the core operational brain.
It is. It's the central nervous system coordinating every single physical asset generation, storage, consumption with, and this is key, millisecond precision.
Millisecond precision.
That millisecond precision is the critical difference between, modern infrastructure and what we've had for the last century.
So there's basically zero lag.
Essentially zero latency between sensing a problem and activating a solution. And that speed is what lets the system achieve a truly autonomous status.
And that's what prevents those, the slow cascading failures we've seen plague the older grids.
Exactly, the ones that are managed by humans who just can't react that fast.
Okay, so let's look at the engine of that autonomy. What is the core software function that moves this system from just fast monitoring to, genuine prediction? How does it prevent a failure before the crisis even begins?
Well, the first and I think the most critical feature is something called predictive balancing.
Predictive balancing.
Right. Think of a traditional grid manager. They're just reacting to a sudden spike in demand, like when everyone turns on their air conditioning at 5 p.m.
So they see the problem, and then they try to fix it.
Then they try to route more power. But GridOS, because it's powered by AI, it doesn't wait. It forecasts those load spikes maybe hours in advance.
How? What's it looking at?
It's analyzing weather patterns, economic activity, past behavior. It builds a very complete picture.
So if the AI predicts a heavy evening load, it's not just sitting there waiting for the surge, it's already adjusting.
It starts adjusting the inputs preemptively.
Yeah.
It adjusts generation instantly to meet a forecasted spike that hasn't even fully materialized yet.
Wow.
That speed, that forecasting and immediate adjustment, that's the core mechanism that prevents the system overloads.
So it's the difference between a traffic cop reacting to a car crash
Yeah.
and an AI rerouting traffic 100 miles away hours before the congestion even builds up.
It anticipates and avoids the problem entirely. A totally different philosophy.
Now, here's where it gets, for me, highly dynamic.
Yeah.
Because the intelligence isn't just about physics, it's also about economics. Once the AI knows who needs power and who has excess, that data feeds into a whole new layer they call peer-to-peer trading. This is the autonomous market, right?
That's exactly right. And this moves it beyond just a technological fix. It actually creates a decentralized, automated economy for energy.
So automated energy markets are just running constantly between neighborhoods or buildings.
Absolutely. Between connected nodes. So if node A suddenly generates more solar power than it needs, the GridOS instantly finds node B, which is anticipating a deficit.
And it brokers a deal.
It brokers a transaction. Power is bought and sold dynamically, shifting distribution automatically. There's no human intervention needed to, broker the exchange. It's a self-optimizing, self-healing market in real time.
Okay, but if the whole thing is automated and financialized and it's running without human oversight, then security becomes, it's the absolute paramount concern.
It has to be.
If you have these autonomous agents making decisions about power and money, how do you trust the data? That never-fail promise just collapses if the data is corrupt.
It does. And this is where they introduce a really serious security framework. The system implements what's called zero trust security.
Zero trust. I've heard that. It's like never trust, always verify.
That's the idea. Every device, every user, every single transaction, even those happening inside the supposedly secure microgrid, has to continuously authenticate itself.
So it's constantly being verified.
Always. Before it accesses or transmits any data, this shuts down all those common insider threat vectors and prevents, a localized breach from spreading across the whole system.
That makes sense for authenticating a device. But what about that financial layer, the peer-to-peer trading needs, like total transactional integrity?
It does. And for that, the sources point to the use of a blockchain-verified transaction ledger.
Ah, okay, blockchain.
Yep. The blockchain is inherently decentralized and immutable, so it provides this verifiable backbone for all of those energy trades. The source actually claims this ledger provides total immunity to the network.
Total immunity. That's a very bold claim, especially for any cyber system.
It's ambitious phrasing, for sure.
I mean, you can't hack what you can't access, but even decentralized ledgers have theoretical vulnerabilities. Is that word immunity a technological reality, or is that more of a marketing statement?
I think it's certainly ambitious, but the function behind it is sound. By relying on the verifiable nature of the blockchain, they ensure that every kilowatt hour traded or generated is accounted for and hasn't been tampered with.
So it locks down the market itself.
Exactly. It makes automated financial manipulation extremely difficult, even if a single sensor node was somehow compromised. It's an integral part of that zero trust mandate. If you can verify the transaction through the blockchain, you don't actually need to trust the node that sent it.
Okay, so we have the brain, this proprietary software running predictive balancing, and a zero trust P2P market. But a nervous system needs some massive muscle to back it up.
Absolutely.
Let's move from the software to the physical assets that GridOS is coordinating. What kind of power scale are we even talking about here? We need to ground this in some real generating capacity.
We do. And the sources give us very specific figures, which is helpful. So GridOS is managing diverse, large-scale assets in this specific deployment we're looking at.
Okay.
The primary generation source mentioned is a pretty substantial solar array at 1.2 GW active capacity.
1.2 gigawatts from solar alone. That's a massive installation. That could power hundreds of thousands of homes.
Huge.
But solar's intermittent, as we all know. So if it's cloudy or nighttime, the AI needs an equally powerful but dispatchable source to keep that never-fail promise.
Absolutely. And the system is designed for exactly that kind of diversity and flexibility. The secondary source they highlight is an H2 turbine at 850 mW active.
An H2, so a hydrogen turbine.
Hydrogen turbine. And this combination, massive scalable renewables backed by substantial hydrogen power, it really shows the thinking behind this infrastructure.
So the hydrogen is the clean backup.
It's essential. It provides inertia to the grid, and it acts as the clean, dispatchable counterpoint to the solar. So when the sun goes down, or if the AI predicts a sudden drop in solar output, the H2 turbine can just spool up instantly.
All managed by the GridOS.
All managed by GridOS to maintain the required output.
That flexibility is absolutely key. It means the system can generate near full capacity even on a still cloudy night.
It can.
And we have a current snapshot of its operational data, which connects us right back to that initial function of predictive balancing. The data lists the grid load as stable at 78%.
Which is a healthy demand level.
A healthy demand, but we need to see how the AI is managing its storage buffer for volatility.
And that's where you see the autonomous planning in action. The data shows battery storage is currently charging at 92%.
92%, and it's charging.
It's charging. Think about that.
Yeah.
The AI is constantly calculating the current generation from the solar and H2 against the forecasted future load. And it is determined that it has enough excess capacity right now to push power into the batteries, ensuring they maintain near peak capacity, 92%, ready for instantaneous deployment.
So the AI is essentially playing a continuous game of chess with the power flow. It's always moving its assets preemptively to make sure that buffer is available for any unexpected event.
Exactly. It's not just charging the battery when it gets low.
Right.
It's keeping the battery full because it knows a spike is probably coming soon.
That's optimization driven by prediction. It's what keeps the system stable under high load.
Precisely.
We've covered the intelligence and the capacity. Now, let's move to the ultimate promise. Military-grade resilience. Why does a civilian grid, even a cutting-edge one, need hardening that's designed to military standards? What kind of threats are they anticipating?
Well, it's about designing for catastrophic, low-probability, high-impact threats. The resilience has to cover both physical destruction and systemic cyber failure. And the physical hardening details, they confirm they are anticipating the worst. We are talking about the use of EMP-shielded enclosures.
EMP shielded, that's a huge commitment. So that protects the critical electronics against an electromagnetic pulse.
Right, which could be generated by a massive solar flare or, theoretically, a high-altitude nuclear detonation.
And either of those events could instantly fry standard grid electronics across, vast regions.
By enclosing the control centers and key communication links in EMP shielding, the microgrid retains its operational core, its brain, even if all the surrounding legacy infrastructure just burns out.
And it goes down to the endpoints too, right?
It extends right to the endpoints. They use tamper-proof metering infrastructure throughout the physical plant.
Which would address the less dramatic but probably more frequent threat of just physical sabotage.
Exactly. Or unauthorized access at the local level. It ensures the integrity of the power measurement and flow.
That is some robust physical defense. Okay, let's shift to the cyber realm, where the threats are getting more sophisticated every day. The sources detail features that promise cyber immunity.
They do.
This sounds like the cutting edge of infrastructure defense. We're talking about air-gapped control loops and quantum-resistant encryption protocols.
Let's start with the air-gapped loops. That's the ultimate form of isolation for your most critical systems.
So what does air-gapped literally mean?
It means the system controlling the physical flow of power is literally disconnected. It has no physical or logical pathway to any external network.
Not the public internet or even less secure internal networks.
Nothing. So if you can't get an IP address, you can't launch a remote exploit. It makes remote hacking of the most vital functions basically impossible.
So the core control mechanism is safe even if the surrounding business networks get compromised.
That's the entire goal.
Yeah.
And then, looking forward, they're preparing for the next generation of computing threats by integrating quantum-resistant encryption.
Which means they're trying to protect their data against computers that don't even exist yet.
They're ensuring the long-term integrity of their data against hypothetical future threats that could break today's standard cryptographic protocols.
So you're protecting the system from solar flares of the past and quantum attacks of the future.
That's the scope.
And if we connect all this hardening and autonomy to the bigger picture, all this preparation leads to the final critical resilience feature, island mode.
Island mode. This is the ultimate escape hash. It's the feature that truly delivers on the promise of the autonomous microgrid.
So what does it do?
It allows for the instant decoupling from the main grid during a blackout event.
Instant decoupling. So what are the implications of that?
It means if the traditional centralized grid, the one that still supports vast regions, suffers a massive widespread failure.
The GridOS microgrid just cuts the cord.
It just cuts the cord. It transitions seamlessly to self-sufficiency. It sustains power locally using its 1.2 GWh solar, its 850 milliBU H2 turbine, and that 92% charged battery storage.
So the local community, or that city segment, just stays fully operational.
It stays on. While the wider region faces a blackout, it is, by design, survival during a major incident.
This deep dive has shown us just an extraordinary level of integration. We've covered the core pillars of GridOS, the autonomous coordination through millisecond precision and predictive balancing,
The zero-trust AI markets.
and the comprehensive military-grade hardening from EMP shielding and air gapping all the way to quantum resistance. They truly are building a nervous system for the modern city, one designed to withstand pretty much any shock.
And this is the relevance for you, the listener. The future standard for reliable power is defined by this kind of multi-layered integration. It's not enough to just have large renewable assets anymore.
Right.
It's integrating that 1.2 kW of solar with 850 milliW of H2 and having it all managed by predictive AI that keeps battery buffers at 92%. The systemic focus on security, the zero trust, the air gapping, the physical shielding, it shows you the extreme measures that are now necessary to protect critical infrastructure.
From state-level cyber threats, environmental catastrophes, you name it.
From everything.
But the very success of this system raises a really intriguing question for me. GridOS is designed to be so autonomous and so resilient that it can operate with total immunity and never fail, ready to instantly decouple using island mode. So if the cutting-edge technology is designed to thrive by severing its connection to the traditional grid, does that necessity for immediate decoupling imply that maybe fragmentation is the only truly resilient path forward? Does total immunity in one part of the grid signal the inevitable failure of the rest?
That's a great question.
That's the thought we'll leave you to mull over.